The heat of the asphalt, the roar of the engines, the smell of burning rubber. We're not talking about tonight's NASCAR race. This action is taking place in the streets, a kind of block party on wheels. And police say this car craze has spun wildly out of control. Here's Josh Mankiewicz.
This is a sideshow. It's dangerous. It's illegal. And that's part of what puts people behind the wheel and on the sidelines, watching the screeching tires, burning rubber, and whatever you call this. They usually start the same way, most often in the middle of the night. Long caravans of cars connected by cell phones and attitude. When drivers reach a location they like, they take it over, blocking traffic in all directions. What follows is an exhibition of urban street driving, doing what are called donuts. Police say that if you take that gathering, add a raucous crowd, mix in some drugs and alcohol, you have a sideshow. And the sideshow capital of America is Oakland, California. The crowd passes judgment on poor execution. Sometimes they get too close. And some version of this happens almost every weekend.
Good evening. Have you had anything to drink tonight?
On a Saturday night in Oakland, a sideshow's never very far away. Police try to keep them from happening with traffic stops like this one, but make no mistake, there's a war going on out here. On one side are the police, who say that what starts with a sideshow often ends with more serious criminal activity. And on the other side, the drivers and the crowds, who cheer them on because they love the show.
They're never going to stop because there's nothing like this in America.
27-year-old Yapasua Zazaboy, known as Yap to his friends, is the sideshow equivalent of Mario Andretti. That's him behind the wheel.
You see how he's staying in the middle of the intersection.
He's also the self-described voice and videographer of sideshows. His documentary, called Sideways, started as a school project, but has become something of a video cult classic among sideshow fans who like to watch the events even when they can't be there personally.
No fights, no gunshots. People brought their kids out, you know. That's what the sideshow used to be about. Just about having fun.
Now there's a new twist. Sideshows have been going on for 20 years and have always been illegal. But these days they've become increasingly chaotic. Police blame people spilling out of clubs in the wee hours of the morning, many of them high on ecstasy or other drugs, or just drunk. Yap says it has changed the scene out here, that there is more wild behavior both in the car and out. Things can go wrong, quickly, as they did the night we were there, when a crowd attacked this car after it mistakenly wandered into a sideshow.
He made a wrong turn. Oh, he's going to crash. Please don't crash. A couple of years ago, that would have never happened because there would have been a lot of older folks that would have pulled those youngsters back and told them that's not cool. That's not how we get down out here.
These days, the sideshow crowds are more likely to do something rash or dangerous. And Yap says that is largely the city of Oakland's fault.
See, the thing is with sideshows is it also provides a release for people in the community. If you go into East Oakland right now, there is nothing for the citizens of that area to do. There used to be a bowling alley in East Oakland. There used to be a skating rink in East Oakland. No more. All that is gone. Only thing left in East Oakland are liquor stores, bars, and gas stations.
And all of that adds up to a sideshow.
All that adds up to a bunch of trouble.
For people living in the midst of this, it adds up to a loud, noisy problem.
We are angry about what's happening in our neighborhoods.
Sideshows infuriate 83-year-old Oakland resident Gladys Green. The smoke of burning car tires fills her home, and she's routinely awakened by the crowds and the sound of drivers doing donuts.
So why do we have to live where we can't even sleep at night? You know, it's not fair. It's not fair. When you get a certain age and you are tired and you want to relax and be comfortable in your home and you can't, because these youngsters are doing something that they're not supposed to be doing. Why should we have to put up with it?
And while Yap admits sideshows are getting rowdier, he says police and reporters overstate that problem.
The practice of sideshowing has never killed anybody. Nobody in Oakland has ever died from somebody doing a donut.
That's not true. You're being cited for allowing unlawful riding.
Lieutenant Dave Kazicki of the Oakland Police says that while no one's been killed doing a donut, people have been killed in accidents fleeing sideshows. And he says there's plenty of violence generated by the crowd itself.
We've had numerous people killed at the sideshow. In violent crime, just this year alone, we've had three of our homicides here in the city of Oakland were attributed directly to sideshow activity.
What about the argument that if there were fewer liquor stores in Oakland and maybe some other kind of entertainment, sideshows wouldn't be as big a problem?
That's garbage. This is a serious problem. There are people who participate in sideshow that think that somehow the city has an obligation to provide them a venue to behave recklessly and engage in criminal behavior.
The success of Yap's documentary has inspired a number of imitators. There's an entire subculture of video voyeurs capturing the action, adding a little hardcore pornography, and selling it all over the internet with titles like Oakland Gone Wild.
In the commercially available videos, I tell you, I could not put together a better case against sideshow than what these people are producing themselves.
And when I see some of those videos, one of the things I think to myself is, where are the cops?
Right. Yeah, where are the cops? I mean, we don't have enough police officers.
On the night we rode with them, there were only 29 police officers on duty to serve and protect all of Oakland's 400,000 citizens who are spread out across a 56-square-mile area.
The problem is that when we send 1 or 2 police cars into these frays, they're often greeted with rocks and bottles, and 2 police cars, 3 police cars aren't enough to solve them once they get a foothold.
Sideshow crowds have started fighting back, and no one knows that better than Oakland police officer Brad Young.
When I look up and I see a car coming from right up here, down this hill, careening down the hill at a high rate of speed. It was blacked out, there's no lights on, it was coming right at me.
Officer Young narrowly escaped serious injury, and his squad car was destroyed when someone at a sideshow turned a car into a missile by jamming a brick onto the accelerator and sending it toward police.
It is scary. Anybody who tells you differently is lying.
Young says the folks out there aren't teenagers living some modern-day American graffiti fantasy. Most can barely see their teenage years in the rearview mirror.
There's no fear of the police. They will try to take us on. They know that we're outnumbered. They know that there's not a lot we can do.
Your residents say they're frightened, and your cops say they're outmanned.
Well, they are outgunned and outmanned.
Oakland's mayor, Jerry Brown.
We need more cops. We need more prosecution. We need more jail time, and we need a curfew so that once they're convicted, they don't come back in Oakland.
Brown rejects the idea that Oakland owes its residents a playground in the middle of the night, and he knows his voters would love some peace and quiet. The question is, at what cost? I've been out there, and I know, as you do, that if you throw enough cops at this, you see serious results. That then leaves, huge areas of the city uncovered for burglaries and rapes and all kinds of other things.
Well, that's the dilemma, but we're managing.
Brown is working to permanently confiscate cars involved in sideshows as well as bring felony charges against those involved, which would mean jail time. And the Oakland police continue to respond with as much force as they can muster.
We are aggressive. We use aggressive tactics, and the tactics that we use are effective.
It's not just your nice Eagle Scouts that are doing the driving. A lot of these people are felons. They get crazed with their drugs. So it is a danger.
Mayor Brown promises that soon the city will be in the driver's seat.
You come out and do the show in a year, and I'll bet you're going to see far less of the so-called sideshow.
But Jerry Brown is not the first mayor to try to bring sideshows to an end. And Yap says he won't be the last. 10 years from now, sideshow's still going to be here in Oakland?
As long as the people of Oakland are in Oakland, sideshows will exist.
Police in Oakland now say there's been a fourth death linked to sideshows. A new proposal is in the works to crack down on sideshow activity by fining spectators and possibly seizing their cars. The Oakland City Council is expected to vote on that measure later this month.